Hi, this is Joe again with another review. And to continue my Wrestlemania review series, and I'm not going to discuss every single Wrestlemania, so we're going to discuss the more recent ones, in the last 10-15 years. Sorry about that, but it's going to be, like I said, my Wrestlemania 1 review is going to be tedious, so we discuss all 30 of them. It's going to be too long, and I have too much stuff to do to discuss every single one. And besides that, there's other critics who have done every single one, so I'm not going to rehash what they've done. So for this WrestleMania review, I'm going to be discussing the one that the first WrestleMania that I actually saw, which is what the world is coming to, WrestleMania 2. Which took place on Monday, April 7th, 1986. And I think it was like the first WrestleMania that actually took place on Monday night, because the majority of them were on Sunday, and it had to be on Monday night, which was one of the few, at least in the early years, that took place on in prime time. And now for the last, I don't know how long, about 15, 16, I think ever since WrestleMania 11, I think, all of them has been at night, at least 6 or 7 o'clock Eastern time. And this is, like I said earlier, this is the first WrestleMania that I ever saw. Like I said in my WrestleMania 1 review, and never saw the WrestleMania 1 originally on video until like 5 years later. WrestleMania 2 I didn't see it like 4 months later, when I got my first VCR. That's one of the first videos I rented out because I always wanted to see it. And this one was unique. With the fact that had a ton of celebrities involved. B, it was held in 3 separate locations. And Vince McMahon, once again, he stole the concept of having matches in more than one venue, I should say. Because there was like Starcade, which was run by Dusty Rhodes. He had 2 venues. And Vince McMahon says, I'm going to top your act. I'm going to do it in 3. And this time he did it in 3 separate locations, not in the same general area or in the same state. He did one in New York City, well, actually not in New York, but New York State, actually, in the Nassau Coliseum in Nassau County, Long Island. It's the same arena where the New York Islanders are going to be playing the last season before moving to Brooklyn. And they had the Rosemont Horizon in Chicago, in suburban Chicago, Illinois, and the LA Sports Arena in LA for the LA portion. And the unique thing is they did have 12 matches on the card. So what they did was they took 4 matches and put them in each card, and the other 2, when they have the other 2 venues in Chicago and LA, or vice versa, when they showed New York live, then do Chicago in the arena, and then you have the LA portion, which was kind of unique and pretty hard to pull off. And it was kind of hard to pull off, but in the video version, you did have it was cut down to 2 hours. They cut down a lot of the, on the video, on the old VHS video. I don't know on the DVD, I don't know, but on the old VHS, they cut down a lot of the crap that people will criticize WrestleMania 2, especially the lag time and going from one match to the next, and a lot of the technical stuff. Now, technical problems that they did have with the audio and cutting away to different matches and cutting away from New York to Chicago and so on. But overall, I did like the WrestleMania 2, and when I think about WrestleMania 2, it brings about a lot of nostalgia, because it did have a lot of. Again, they did go to a lot of closed circuit locations to go see it, because pay-per-view was in its early days then. It's almost been 30 years, and I'm talking about the early days of pay-per-view. And of course, you had different locations. Well, to see them, you had the South Forum in New York was a location. The Baker Theater was a location for years. And there's one particular nightclub that's in Elmhurst, Queens, which is near where I live. I didn't go see it personally, but one of my teachers actually did. Instead of showing was called the Moore's East, was shut down by the cops. We saw drugs and prostitution going on. But when WrestleMania 2 happened, they had the event at a little closed circuit location. And I remember seeing it advertised on the regular WWF programming to go to the Moore's East and Queens, was one of the locations for see WrestleMania 2. And but instead of seeing WrestleMania 2, they showed WrestleMania 1, and they caused a riot. And the cops had to be called, and they shut the place down. Eventually, it was shut down for good, and now it's like a Chinese supermarket and restaurant now. Anyway, to the matches themselves. What was unique is that each location did have a title match, and also they had what I would consider a novelty match, which I'm going to get to in a minute. The first match of the card was actually called, I think that at least in WrestleMania 2 and WrestleMania 3, but also they had a match where two guys had the same finishing move. And the first match was Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful, versus the Magnificent Morocco, and the finishing move was, of course, the Power Driver. And that, unfortunately, was like a double count out of disqualification. I think it was that match. And this also had this location in Nassau Coliseum, was where they had the first 4 matches, and they had the first straight match with Jackie Snake Robinson, Ray wrestled George Wells, and of course he also had the first title match, which was Randy Savage, who a couple months earlier, I think like 2 or 3 months earlier, had won the Intercontinental title under disputed facts from Tito Santana, because he had like a brass knuckles in his trunks, and he hit Santana, knocked him out, and he won the belt. He wrestled George the Animal Steele, which that rivalry lasted like for a year, and they had a couple matches on Saturday's main event, and they ran that bit pretty well. And it was the first rivalry that Savage had where it was the IC champ. But the main event in the New York portion, and that's when they started bringing out a lot of celebrities. They had Joan Rivers was the ring announcer, and they had Herb from the god awful Burger King commercials, and you can look those commercials up on YouTube. I think they're still up on YouTube. And you also had boxing man Cap Calloway, and I forgot who else you had as judges for the boxing match. The boxing match was with Roddy Piper versus Mr. T. And remember that match got a lot of hype, especially when you remember on the old WWF programming at that time, where Jesse Ventura was said to Gorilla Monsoon. Let's see if Clubber Lang is for real. In reference to the character that brought Mr. T to the world before the 18, that was the character that Mr. T played in Rocky 2. And of course, let's see if it would be for real, that type of thing. And that match went over. I think it was pretty good. I think it went to like the 4 rounds, 10 rounds. And it ended on disqualification when Roddy Piper body slammed Mr. T. I think also he hit the referee, and he also body slammed Mr. T. One of the stipulations was if anybody used a wrestling move, it would be an automatic disqualification, and that's what happened. Then I thought it was entertaining enough for its time. Then they went to the Chicago portion. In the Chicago portion, you had you had 2 title matches. You had a women's heavyweight title, which Fabulous Moolah, and the only time she ever wrestled in WrestleMania, won. I think I forgot who she beat. Then you had you also had the tag team belts now for grabs, which was a pretty damn good match. You had the Dream Team, Louis Beefcake, and Big Valentine versus the British Bulldogs. And the British Bulldogs were managed by Captain Lou Albano. And you had, because the Dream Team was managed by Nurses Johnny Valiant, and that was a pretty good match. And that was the match because the Bulldogs won the tag belts. And it was the only time that the Bulldogs would have. And that was a pretty good rivalry between those 2 teams. This also lasted throughout the summer with a bunch of rematches, including one on Saturday's main event in October of '86. It was a 2 out of 3 falls match. Then yeah, of course, I know I'm forgetting one match in Chicago. I forgot what it is. But the novelty match in the Chicago portion was the Big Battle Royal. It was also considered the main event. And what was funny was that you also had Clara Pella, who was the Where's the Beef Lady, was in Chicago. So you had the Where's the Beef Lady and Herb, two big commercial chains at that time, in the same one event. So it's pretty funny to me. And you had the Big Battle Royal. We had wrestlers versus NFL players. Because the biggest name was William the Refrigerator Perry, from Chicago. So they got a huge deal out of that. Dick Butkus was one of the referees, special enforcer in that match. And of course it was won by Andre the Giant. Also you had Big John Studd in that match too, as well. So you had the two big giants, the two biggest guys in wrestling. In terms of height, in the same battle royal. With Andre the Giant winning, I thought it was going to be a big deal. Going to have to renew the Big John Studd Andre rivalry again, but it didn't happen. And because Big John Studd was playing after Refrigerator Perry, and they were going out pretty good in the match until, of course, when Big John Studd threw out the refrigerator, and Perry says, "Okay, and of course he did the obligatory thing where he reaches up and he yanks Big John Studd out of the ring, and he got eliminated from the Battle Royal. Well, like I said, Bundy won that. Not Bundy. Andre the Giant won the Battle Royal. Now you go to Chicago, the LA portion, and the novelty match for the LA portion was the tag match between Corporal Kushner, which is like a ripoff of Sergeant Slaughter, versus Nikolai Volkov. Of course, Corporal Kushner, wins that match, and he had like a big American flag was waving around the ring, and that was about it. That was a pretty quick and short match. Of course, there was a big tag team match with Terry and Hodge Funk versus Tino Santana and Junkyard Dog. Of course, Tino Santana, loses, which we do for the next any other WrestleMania that he's ever appeared in. Tino Santana even though he was a very popular wrestler, and I like him as a wrestler, but unfortunately he was a loser in WrestleMania. Except for the first one. Now, of course, you get to the. There was also another match between Uncle Elmer, one of the Hillbillies, versus Adrian Adonis, which was also a quick match. Then, of course, you had the main event. Oh yeah, I forgot. In Chicago, you did have a match between Ricky Steamboat versus Hercules Hernandez. So that's the other match of 9 for 9. So now it's time for the main event. The main event, you did get hyped for this thing. And you do remember watching this on Saturday night's main event. Which was in the early days of Saturday night's main event, actually. The storyline was that King Kong Bundy wanted to be declared the #1 contender for Hogan's title. And there was some hold up, and he didn't get the #1 contender. Don Morocco was, and he was wrestling Hogan a couple of times in Saturday's main event, and Bundy got all bent out of shape. And there was one particular Saturday's main event, which I think it might still be on YouTube, or if that's up, I think it might have been blocked already, which stinks. I think all Saturday's main event shows should be on YouTube. I feel that way. So, WWF let's cut this crap out already. I'm talking about matches are about almost 30 years old already. Should be on YouTube. Anyway, they had Bundy had a match first against some stiff, and Hogan had his championship match with Morocco, and Bundy came in, interfered, and he squashed Hogan like a grape. And that's when I also knew the first thing was fake, because if Hogan had busted ribs like they said he had, how in the world could he wrestle a guy who's 450, almost 500 pounds of King Kong Bundy in this match? I knew then. I haven't been watching wrestling for a full year yet at that point. I knew it was fake. But he had the old steel cage match. Those old blue steel ball cage instead of the stupid chain link fence now. And the thing they hear with steel cage matches today is the fact that they have a referee inside the ring, and you can win. And there's only like in those days, you can only win a steel cage match by one or two ways: going through the little door within the steel cage, or go climb over the cage, up and over the side, and you both feet hit the floor and you win. Now, instead of just those two rules, you can win by pinfall or submission inside the ring, which is I don't like. I don't like they add those rules. I think a couple years later, around like 88 or 89, they added those rules in there with the referee inside the ring, which I don't like, which stinks. But that was WrestleMania 2, and the celebrities they did have in LA, which I forgot to mention, they did have Ricky Schroeder from the show Silver Spoons, and you had Tom Minnesota as the ring announcer in LA. But on the show itself, I did like the show, but the matches were quick, and the original VHS video, I'm talking the old VHS video, that was originally released in 1986, like about a few weeks or a month after WrestleMania 2 happened, was 2 hours long. Because like I said earlier, they cut all the stuff in it. But as a match, the show itself, I always come a lot of nostalgia for it because it was the first match I saw, WrestleMania I saw, and I wanted to see the tag team match, I wanted the championship match, I wanted to see the Orndorff Morocco match, the boxing match. I think at least half the matches I was interested in seeing, which is if there was a WrestleMania where you have that many matches and you wanted to, and 6 of them, at least half of them you wanted to see, that means it's a good WrestleMania. Instead of just 1 or 2 matches, which pretty much is today, it's a 4-hour show. You got like 6 or 7 matches, which is a joke. If you don't have as many matches as you had in the early years, it's not worth spending $60 for a 4-hour show when you only get like 7 matches. It's not worth it. It's not worth the money that the WWE is charging now. So that's my review of WrestleMania 2. Please click on the video, please read it. Please subscribe to my channel, and you can also check out my videos on valleyc.com. So my older videos, you can check it on there, as well as on my YouTube channel as well. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.